Coming to the end of the year now for sure, and I wanted to do a video kind of talking about my favourite amp that I've discovered for me this year, which is the Fender Deluxe Reverb. As you will know, Truefire sponsored this channel, but I wanted to just shout out that at the moment they're doing their best deal that they ever do, and a bit better. The All Access membership available for $79. All Access membership lasts a year. Basically you can dip in and out of all of their courses on there, amazing players like Robin Ford, Andy Timmons, Tim Miller, etc, etc. Check out the link in the description if you're interested. Not my first Fender amp. I've got a Fender Pro Reverb as well. I've had like an old Fender Champ. It's just a bog standard reissue with the standard Jensen speaker in there. The sort of thing you could find on eBay quite often for around £1,000. I did say that if I spotted one, because my buddy David Beebe first of all got one, if I'd spotted one for around £800, I would want to snap one up. David Beebe originally bought one, I think, because it's Jonathan Kreisberg's weapon of choice, as well as being like one of the classic things, right? Then my buddy Jake Loosemore, he found this one in Poole, I think, £850. Now, it's not been perfect. It does have a tube in the back, one of the power tubes, sort of wants to come unseated a little bit, so you just kind of have to make sure on the gig that that's not falling out. One of the sort of downsides, I guess, of the combo amp design in general is that, you know, it's kind of right next to the speaker and you get quite a bit of vibration, and, you know, they have to be well built. But anyway, just a bog standard Fender 1965 reissue. I tend to use the normal channel. I have got the chance to gig it in earnestness on a couple of occasions, so one of my favourite tones that I've heard in my videos this year was from this. only other time that I think I had an even better time was with the Pro Reverb, but that's like a real vintage 1965 amp with 2 EV speakers in it. So, you know, you're going to be heard with that thing, and your back is going to let you know the next day that you took it out. So more likely this would be the sort of thing I would take out. Now, important to note that for me, the amps, I mainly think of them as tools for gigging. And so I did have that Head First Dirty Shirley my buddy Chris is borrowing at the moment, but that didn't have a particularly inspiring clean tone live. Although the drive tones I thought at home sounded incredible, it didn't really have the headroom to get a satisfying clean for me live, whereas this does. But with that comes a warning that for home use, I think you might find this to be possibly a little bit over the top. So for me, I can get it to sort of just over 2, and then it starts to get actually quite loud. And at those volumes, it's still going to have loads of clean headroom for you to throw pedals at it. Sort of gig volume here, if you want a really loud gig in the UK, I mean, you might get it 3, 4. If it's a function gig, you know, just over 2 to 3 is probably going to get you heard plenty, and maybe you might get some complaints as well. I think that was about where Jake was gigging it. Around 3 is quite a lot of volume. The only negatives for me with this amp really are the reverb is a bit crazy, but also the reverb is on the channel that I like less. So the normal takes pedals incredibly well. I think the vibrato channel, from speaking to Jake, has a bright cap on it where you need to actually turn it up beyond that to actually start to get the slightly warmer tones. So that's kind of one thing. But it works for Michael Landau, so, you know, no real excuses. I think Jake saw Michael Landau at Ronnie Scott's as well, and I've seen some clips of that. That guy sounds wild playing through a Deluxe Reverb. I also watched a video the other day, Guthrie Trapp, on the amps that you need, and he sort of talked about, you know, get the amp right for the room. And in that, he kind of explained his philosophy, like at home, in a smaller room like this, like a Princeton Reverb. On a gig, if he's able to get a little bit more volume, your Pro Reverb. On a really big gig, maybe a twin. This is, you know, obviously the Fender thing. But the Deluxe Reverb, if you've only got a choice for one, might be a good bet that can do like a little bit of everything quite well. Like, it's definitely loud enough to gig with, and definitely you can get some really cool tones at home. There was one occasion that I plugged in a Zen drive and I only had the volume on about 2, and I was still getting some kind of musical feedback from it. So it's not anemic at home, would be the way I would describe it. It's quite heavy considering how it looks, which I guess could be a good thing. Probably means it's been put together fairly well. Yeah, it's pine, isn't it? The cabinets on these, solid pine, I think. Just a really lovely amp to play, takes pedals so well. So if you're looking for like a 1 amp thing that could do it all, that could get you through gigs, then this might be a good bet. I don't have any experience with the Tone Master Deluxe Reverb, which I think some people quite like. Some people are going to have some strong opinions, but if you've used one and dig it, let me know in the comments. That'll be quite a lot lighter and have a line out, and of course not have any of the things that really make this what it is, you know, in terms of transformers and tubes and stuff, but could be a cool amp in its own right. It does annoy me a little bit, that actually. I don't know if it annoys anyone else. If you're like looking on eBay for a Deluxe Reverb, and then you're like, oh, that's a really good price, and then you look and you see a little badge in the corner that says Tone Master, just like, well, that's not what I was looking for. I guess the other thing that I really like about this is that it's kind of such an understated amp, right? You know, someone's gonna potentially show up to a gig with a 2-rock, and I did that at the end of the year, and I kind of didn't like the way it felt to have it like obviously displayed that you spent so much money on that amp. I don't know, that's kind of me, you know, growing up the way I did. But for me, something about the Fender Deluxe Reverb is kind of, although it's not an everyman's amp, it's the sort of thing that particularly you guys in the US can probably find them all over the place. Brand new now, they're still, what, like £1,500–1,600, so it's not like a cheap amp, but you can get them used for under £1,000. So I kind of like that aspect of it, where it's like, well, if I needed to replace this amp, I could quite easily, or find someone else who had one. It's kind of as close to like an everyman's amp as you could get, which still has like all of the things that you like about a great amp, to me, I think. As someone who's playing with a Strat and needs a fairly high headroom clean for some of the gigs that I do, you know, bouncy cleans, that sort of thing, that take pedals well, is kind of really nice for that. Anyway, just wanted to shout out, and if you've had a favourite amp this year, please drop it into the comments. If you've got suggestions for amps that you might think would suit me, I'd love to hear those as well. I have been sort of eyeing up some champs and stuff, and wondering, like, because I'm enjoying some aspects of this kind of cranked blackface tone, but there's just no way that I could do anything like this at home, really. You know, beyond 3 and 4, it's just getting crazy, and it will absolutely destroy my mics as well. I think a champ I might be able to get slightly closer to fully cranked, but equally, do I need another amp? I don't know, probably not. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers for stopping by.